The opinions voiced in this podcast are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which strategies or investments may be suitable for you, consult the appropriate qualified professional prior to making a decision.
Welcome to How to Money with Cole and Cole.
I'm Cole.
And I'm Cole.
We coach people every day on their money and how to plan for the future.
As financial advisors, we're here to have an honest conversation on investing, retirement, and everything in between.
At Full Swing Financial Planning, we're here to empower you to take control of your plan, your way, for your financial future.
So let's talk money.
And sports.
Welcome back to How to Money with Cole and Cole. I am your host, Bailey Ashbrook, and I got both Coles here today.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been over a month. And we got we're on a guest role, too. We have a special guest, John Clay with Iowa Dental Associates. Thank you for being here. We're excited to have you before we get into your story.
Don't sound too excited, John.
Thanks for asking me. I am so thrilled to be here.
I
feel like a movie star right now. It's weird.
Don't smile too much because your teeth are much wider than mine, much straighter, and you're next to me on camera, so I need you to talk with your mouth.
Bailey, I know a good dentist.
Okay. I'll keep that in mind. But welcome. We're happy to have you. Guys,
Thank you.
What's going on in the sports world? Cole's Broncos?
Hey, they're in the playoffs right now. If it started today, and Cole Jaskie's Steelers are the 3 seed, so
on the
we're
rise.
trending up.
John, who's your team? You got an NFL team?
I don't even know if we should go there.
He doesn't want to talk about it. Is it the Cowboys?
It's the Cowboys. I know.
It's been rough.
They're a hot mess right now.
That's Bailey's husband's team, Logan.
He quit. He gave up.
Yeah, I did too. I threw the towel in.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not watching this.
Yeah.
It's got to be. Whew.
Yeah,
They're
it's
just
a
getting
little rough for the
demolished too.
Cowboys.
They're getting like blown out for NFL games. Like
Yeah.
I heard-
Another shock is the 49ers.
Yeah,
They're
I
like
know.
5-5.
Yeah. Isn't that who you guys picked?
I believe so.
A lot of people picked them Super Bowl.
I got short-term memory, so I don't remember who I picked. It's probably 2 bad picks, I'm sure.
Your Chiefs finally went down.
Yeah, I
Yay.
still feel good about them, you know?
Yeah, 9-1 still okay.
I mean, it's not bad.
They probably lost because Taylor wasn't there. Or was she there? I don't remember.
Was she there? I don't know.
I don't know.
Taylor Swift, I don't know if she was there or
She
not.
It
does
was in
bring the
Buffalo,
energy.
Yeah,
so-
she's not going to Buffalo. It's too cold in Buffalo.
Yeah,
She
there's
sits
no
in
way.
a box.
Yeah, but the NFL is in full gear, and they college football. Iowa State stumbled a little bit lately. Iowa's 6-4, and kind of like whatever.
Yeah, it's
I'm
kind of
over
losing a little steam. I think the end of the season there. So it'll be interesting to see the format for the playoffs and stuff
Yes.
kind of come to fruition. So we'll see. That we'll have more to come on that. Maybe we'll have to do some picks on college football when we get to the playoff.
Yeah,
Ooh,
that
I'd
like we
like
did
that.
that last year. Yeah.
Iowa State has an outside chance to get to the Big 12 championship game, but they'd have to have a lot of things happen, and they got to win out, obviously. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
I'm kind of over football. I'm ready for basketball.
I'm definitely moving on to basketball
Yeah,
for sure.
see, I'm ready. The Hawkeye women are 3-0 without Clark. You know?
I went to the Iowa Drake
Oh, yeah.
women's game this last Sunday, and not that they're better without Caitlin Clark, of course not.
Absolutely not.
But that Lucy Olson is for real.
They're impressive.
And their post play with Stolke and Grady,
Yeah.
holy cow, they just dominated. In the
Grady had
paint.
like 20 some.
She had 14 of the first 16 points.
Yep.
And she had like 27 and 10. I mean,
Oh, wow.
She played really well.
Good basketball for the state of Iowa this year, hopefully.
Oh,
Yeah.
A lot of high expectations.
Also in sports, Mike Tyson came back.
That's wild.
Came back and really didn't do much.
I wish I would have been in the watched boxing in the Mike Tyson era.
Oh,
I did.
Did you?
Yeah, I mean,
It was unbelievable.
Yeah,
to
it had
watch
to be
him
so
in his
cool.
younger years.
Yeah.
It was like nothing else.
and crazy, man. He's just a crazy man.
That was when the fights were on HBO. I'm
Yes.
sure you remember this.
The height of boxing.
So you had to go to someone's house that had HBO. My parents never had HBO, and it was always started at like 10:30, 11 o'clock
Yeah.
at night. I remember coming home the night that he got beat by Buster Douglas, and my dad thought I was lying to him, and I had the tape. Like, this is a VHS tape.
You're
And we
dating
popped
yourself.
it in, and I
Aging
showed
yourself
it to
here.
him.
It was kind of like the Kennedy assassination. Like I knew right where I was when he.
Oh,
got
yeah.
beat.
Yeah.
That's so
something like
wild.
that.
That was so wild.
It was such a shock to the sports world because he
Yeah.
just
Never
never
won.
even thought he was ever going to get beat.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Now he's fighting Jake Paul.
He made
Kinda.
a lot of money. So.
20 million.
Is that what he made?
58 years old. What
20 million dollars
are you doing?
for
I know.
one fight. And Netflix
I would get in
pulled
the
together.
ring
Yeah.
with Tyson for $20 million.
Me
I
too.
was like, I would take a punch for $20 million.
For sure get in the ring with Jake Paul.
Yeah.
The true.
Dodging
He
for
made
20 mil. I mean,
He made $40 million.
Yeah, I know.
Great marketer.
60 million views on. I know that's the internet world. Like
Well,
he came from that. He came from like
That's what I'm
Disney.
saying.
He was
It's
on
like-
like Disney Channel for a while or something.
It was like the Mike Tyson
or Nickelodeon
following
or something.
and his whole following. You forget
Yeah.
how many kids, like my younger cousin's high school, was like, we all grew up watching him, like obsessed with him. I'm like, oh, that's weird.
And then the older generation.
yeah,
with
it was
Mike
like
Tyson.
a collide
Yeah.
of so money.
New culture, old culture. There.
Yeah.
Like the.
It's all about money.
Yeah. I
Great
know.
marketing. But John, let's get into your story.
Yeah, sure.
Let's do it. So you're the co-owner and founder of Iowa Dental, which started here in Fort Dodge. You guys have multiple locations now. So just maybe tell the listeners your background, how Iowa Dental became and how you got into being in dentistry.
Well, so when I was in college, I didn't ever think I was going to be a dentist. So I had a roommate so I was a freshman. I roomed with 3 juniors my first 2 years, and one of them was in pharmacy school. And he's like, you should look into dentistry. They work this many hours, make this much money. It's a pretty good gig. And I looked into it. I thought, oh, yeah, I could probably do that. So that's how I got started looking into it. And then applied. I had to apply 3 times to get in because I wasn't. My first few years in college, I was partying, doing a little
The grades weren't up. The grades weren't
little
up.
extracurricular activities. So it was,
I don't know anybody else that did anything like that.
So it was a bit of a challenge, but finally got in, got through it, and then came back to Fort Dodge. There was an opportunity here. Dr. Joyce Garden, I don't know if you guys know her. She had a practice in the hospital, and I wanted to buy a practice right out of school. I didn't want to do an associateship. I felt like I felt pretty confident that I could run a business. Well, I came in, bought Joyce's practice, kind of expecting her to stay on for a while to help with the transition, and she was gone in a month.
She said, see you later.
But I will say this.
Trial by fire there.
Yeah, like that's the best way to learn. You just get thrown in the fire, and you either sink or swim, and
I would agree with
it's
that.
a great way to learn. So that's, and I knew that, so her staff all stayed. So I knew that they were really the ones probably running the practice anyway, and they were. So it really worked
team.
out.
There's always a great team behind, right?
Right. So I came in there, and she left, and everything just kind of continued as normal. And after a while, then you start to pick up on things, and slowly over time, I changed things to how I wanted them. Made tweaks to the practicing methods and stuff like that I thought were better, and it just kind of went from there. So that's kind of how it all came to pass.
So you started your practice there, and now, so you bought her clientele. How did it transpire into Clay Associates, which is now Iowa Dental? Like, how did those step processes for the listeners that don't know? So you started at the hospital, then you opened your own firm, and now that's grown immensely.
So when I was in the hospital, that area, or my office was, I can't even believe this. It was less than 1,300 square feet.
Ooh, that's tight.
It was tiny. So I had 3 operatories total, 2 for me and 1 for a hygienist.
Your waiting area is bigger than that.
Your
office.
No doubt. But what was funny, so my office in the hospital was as big as an operatory. So finally, after a couple years, I'm like, why in the heck do I have this office this big? So I literally turned that into an operatory. So I went from 3 to 4, and I moved. I had to get a new desk because I didn't have anywhere to put my old desk because it was too big. So I bought this little, it was like a 3-foot by 2-foot little table, like no joke, and it just got pushed in the corner, and that's where
your desk.
That's where my office. That's my office became. But doing that was probably the most important thing because it helped my practice grow immensely. Mm-hmm. So that's where it started. But then when I first moved to town, I was in a breakfast club with Scott McQueen. He was the one that started it. It was his breakfast club. But Terry Lutz was also in that breakfast club. Mm. So I knew that I had to get out of the hospital eventually because at that point, this was probably 4 or 5 years after I got here, my practice had already plateaued. We couldn't get any bigger because we couldn't see any more patients because we were landlocked there with 4 operatories. So Terry and Don Decker, they were just doing the Orchard Glen. They had done the Orchard Glen development, so they owned all that land out there. So I was talking to Terry. I'm like, dude, I would be willing to buy that lot. And we started talking, and I bought it. And it sat dormant for about, 4 years. I still couldn't pull the trigger on it. Then finally I decided to pull the trigger, and that's kind of what happened. That's how it started.
And he, for the listeners, he's got a beautiful office location in Fort Dodge now. So I'm sure I never saw your old office, but night and day. And, and it's, allowed you, I think that kind of transition to bringing other associates on board, and then it catapulted you into the multi-office location.
For sure. And it was like, you hear the old adage, and it's, you kind of laugh at it. If you build it, they will come, like the Field of Dreams. We're all from Iowa, right?
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
And that's like, that's no joke. That's exactly what happened. Like, and so I was able to luckily find an associate that came in. So we opened that office February of 2015. I had just gotten a new associate that was graduating from Iowa. She started in like July, and then it just kind of blossomed from there. And then Nan, she was our first associate. She left, and then Sean came in. And Sean, it didn't take me long to figure out that Sean was a special guy. Like, his business mind was awesome.
And for the listeners, Sean's one of John's partners.
Sean is the main partner now, and him and I, we meshed right away, but we kind of had the same vision for the future for that practice. At that time, corporate dentistry was trying to make a big footprint in the dental world. At that time, they were probably, I would say, 30% corporate, 70% private.
And by corporate, you mean like they own multiple locations, or like it's a group?
Like the Aspens, the Heartlands, the Applewhites, like we have here in town. So we saw that trend was going to be something that was going to be forthcoming, and it wasn't going to stop. So we wanted to be on the right side of the cusp of that, and be on the right side of it, because we didn't want to be late to the game. So that's when we decided to start expanding and looking at other practices. And his vision lined up, paralleled mine. So we both had the same vision. So that's kind of how it started. And then we got into it, and then Sean, so Sean's 17 years younger than me. So he took the bull by the horns and
got a lot of energy.
Yeah, he's got a lot of energy.
Ton of energy.
I don't even know where it comes from, but it comes from somewhere. Probably energy drinks. I don't know. But he
no kids. No kids.
No kids. That's probably number one. Yeah. Energy drinks number two.
Yeah.
But he kind of took it and ran with it. And at that point in my career, I had kids at home, so I wasn't exactly wanting to go travel and do all the stuff. And Sean totally wanted to do that and totally took it over. And a lot of the growth is due to Sean. So, I can't give him enough credit for what he's done with this.
Where did you guys buy the first or the second location? Like, where did you start the expansion process?
So the expansion process started with Dr. Berry and Dr. Christensen in Lorenz, Iowa. They were,
shout out Lorenz.
Yeah, shout out Lorenz. I knew them just from years of practice. So we had gotten a tip from one of our dental reps that they were wanting to buy or wanting to sell. So I'm like, that would be perfect. That's not too far away.
Good
I think
start,
we could maybe handle that. But they also, and we didn't even know this at the time, but they had a satellite in Spirit Lake. So they wanted to, we didn't even want the satellite at first. We just wanted the Lorenz, but they wanted to sell both.
Package deal. So
we bought it both. We bought them both, and then that's kind of where it started. And then we started getting into it. And I tell you, you can't do it by yourself. Like, you need somebody else, a partner or something, to help, because otherwise it seems to be too much.
That's what I was going to ask. Like, what do you think is, obviously, you said it there, but the question I was going to go to is like, think if someone, maybe not in the dental industry, but looking to expand to another location, what are some things that,
key factors you did
key
consider?
Factors, obviously having great parters.
You need a great partner. You need somebody like, okay, I'll just kind of explain the way Sean and I do it. Like, Sean wanted to do all the business, wanted to deal with all the stuff that deals with employees and all that, as you know, Cole.
Yep.
And I was involved in that at first. And that's my least favorite. I didn't like it, and I thought he's younger than me. he
can deal
with this stuff
he's a
better.
process guy. He's a process guy. So
yeah, he's a process guy, but he's also very good with people.
Yep,
he's better with people than I am. I don't know, believe it or not, it's hard to believe. I know,
Yeah,
but he's just good with people. So that role kind of suited him very well. And so I just kind of went back to doing dentistry and maintain ownership, and that's kind of how it worked for us.
I always think that it takes, he was obviously right out of college coming with you. So it was one of those things like you had the established, a little bit from a financial standpoint with already having the practice. So you kind of catapulted, he needed you, just as much. So it was a great match. And then he's really taken that business to like expanding to be able to like, how do you create this process, to another office. And
exactly.
It's been cool to see.
Yeah. It's been exciting. And Sean, he educates himself so well. Like he goes to all these DSOs or multiple. They're basically what a DSO is. It's a group of multiple practices.
It's a dental service organization.
Right.
Yep.
So that's basically what we are. But he goes to all these continuing ed things and just learns so much, makes contacts.
He's a sponge, isn't he?
Yeah.
He wants to know
networking.
Yep.
So how many locations do you guys have now?
So we have 6 locations: Knoxville, Fort Dodge, Pocahontas, Spirit Lake, Sanborn, Iowa, which is a small community, and then
did you say Pocahontas?
Yeah, we said Pocahontas.
Great Lakes.
Canton, South Dakota. That's the other one.
That's the other. Yeah, that's far. A little farther. So how do you, as you're growing these practices, you're taking over these practices, how do you guys manage such a large team? Like as a business owner, like you have to have quality people.
Yeah,
you guys look at you have like 400, 900, 500 reviews. They're all like 5 stars. Like you have to have quality
Bailey's been
people.
raving about how many reviews you guys have, by the way, on Google.
We pay people off.
Good to know. Good to know.
But
here's $5, Bailey. Give us.
Thank you. But to really obviously grow and manage practices, you also have to have good employees. So how do you guys do that as well as you're taking over these locations and finding these right locations?
Yeah. So Sean's a numbers guy. So he'll look at the practice. If the numbers don't look good, we just won't buy it. It has to make sense for us, and it has to have an ROI immediately. We look for like 5-year payoffs, things like this. So there's certain things that we look for that allow it to make sense for us. But one thing is we've learned this, and there's been a lot of growing pains, as you can imagine. But the first practice that we were buying, it was a bit of a disaster because the employees hated it. We didn't really know what we were doing. We were just kind of, flying by the seat of our pants, and it was tough. Those first couple were really tough, but then you learn, and you put protocols into place to where now we go into a practice. We say, this is what's happening. This is the system we're going to use. Here's the training. This is all going to happen over the next 4 to 5 weeks, and boom.
It gets better and easier every time that you do it.
That's exactly right.
You guys have your process down.
And then you guys also, you're also building that. I think when you acquire a new practice, right? Well, we've done this multiple times now too, so you have the experience, and then it's the hardest part is obviously the culture of as you grow to more offices is like how do we keep the culture of like still being a rural Iowa heart people, and at your nature, obviously you're getting into bigger markets, but. I can imagine that's one of the tougher things is just the bigger you get. Culture is critical, and that's something we've tried very hard to establish in our practices. The toughest thing is dealing with employees because they don't like change, and I understand that. I totally get that. I would probably be opposed to it too, but we try to make it as smooth of a transition as we can. We're going to lose some. That's inevitable, but we just have to swallow that and move on. And you're in a competitive industry. Yeah. It's a very competitive industry. Yep. Yeah, it definitely is. Can I ask about, I want to hear about getting, associate doctors, like, think of your locations are very rural for the most part. Yes. I think you've grown to some bigger populated areas, but talk about that of like the competitive of the associate market. Recruitment is very tough. We have expended a lot of resources into trying it. We've hired people. We in fact, just last week, Dr. Wallingford and myself went to Creighton with Sean and our HR gal, Callie, and we were there for a job fair trying to recruit people. It's tough to do because everybody's offering the same things. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's, so they almost have to have a tie to the location or the area.
I mean, that's obviously going to make it a lot easier. Obviously, certain places are like the lake. We could recruit there all day long.
Everyone wants to live
on the lake. I mean, there's we probably have a waiting list of 100 dentists long that's trying to wait to get into that. And
Come to Lorenz.
Can we move?
So we'll expand to
Can we move some of these people to Pocahontas? or even Fort Dodge? Like,
wait, people
not that
don't
far
want to
away
live
from
in
the lake.
Pocahontas versus the lake, or
It is though. Younger people, it's hard. I mean, it's hard. I mean,
so here it's totally changed. When I was young, back
in my day,
back 21 years ago when I came to Fort Dodge, there were not a lot, but there were several people in my class that came out and bought practices because they felt comfortable doing that. They saw the reward of it. But now very few people do that. These people coming out, they want their Starbucks, they want their Targets, they want their nightlife, they want it all. They want the city life.
Yep.
So it's hard. Obviously, you're not going to get that in rural Iowa, so that makes it very tough. So you're kind of looking for the right person, and that circle gets very small in a hurry.
Is there a shortage of dentists right now?
I would say no.
No, I didn't know. I was honest.
I would say
with
no.
recruiting.
Well, in rural Iowa there is, of course.
Yes, it's saturated. Probably in your Des Moines, Ankeny. There's probably all kinds of options for you. But
yes,
John, you guys have used digital marketing and social media to really expand your business. Can you tell the listeners about how you guys go about that and what the process is to really bring business from that?
Other than having a great team, that probably does a lot of that for you.
That definitely helps. So we have obviously, we're and I don't feel like we do enough. We're big on Facebook. We've hired a marketing person. Her location is in Okoboji, but she does it for all the locations. She'll put stuff on Facebook. We do every quarter, every office has to do a community thing where we're giving to the community somehow or do some community event.
That's
awesome. So every practice that we have is doing that. We try to do team bonding, keep that culture because that's important, keep people happy. So those are kind of things. But one thing that I want to do more of is like get out on Instagram and TikTok.
I could see you on TikTok, John.
Yeah.
You guys had a Halloween. You had a Halloween. You guys did some Halloween. I showed the office.
Sesame Street.
Yeah.
Don't.
I showed the
we'll
office.
Put it in the notes.
Yeah, we'll put it in a link in the notes.
Let that one be.
Yeah. But anyway,
it's true though.
Yeah. So we try to do as much as we can on there because that's obviously the biggest platform right now. It's not newspapers or anything like magazines, but it's more social.
Where you're going to be seeing her,
right? Exactly, especially by the younger people,
and the reaches can be unlimited,
crazy.
And they can be pretty cost effective to do stuff on Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff.
Yeah.
This podcast is produced by Spin Market and Digital. Located in Fort Dodge, Iowa, Spin Market's highly skilled team can help you increase your market by updating your website, improving SEO, designing advertisements, and producing podcasts that will grab the attention of your market. Contact Spin Market today for all your digital marketing needs at digitalagent@spinmarket.com or call us at 515-302-8026. And to learn more, visit our website at www.spinmarket.com. That's digitalagent@spinmarket.com or 515-302-8026. Or visit our website at www.spinmarket.com.
Let's do a little dollars and cents.
Dollar bills, y'all.
That never gets old.
The dollar bills.
Is gridlock good?
Well, maybe explain.
Oh, I know we're not in gridlock. We're not projected to be. The election's not technically over, and it seems in some areas, which is crazy. But this is according to Bespoke, which I've never heard of, but they do a lot of political data, and it's some stats on the market. So this is quite interesting. I thought interesting to me, anyways. And sorry about the listeners, but since 1901, the Dow Jones Industrial Average has averaged an annual gain of 7.6% when one party has full control of the White House, Senate, and House. So one party has all three, right? Which we're projected to be right now.
Yeah, that hasn't been officially announced, but it's coming.
Yeah, it looks like so, which is historically very, very good for the market. Now, because I'm going to go when one party has not had full control, that the Dow, and this is over 120 years, the Dow Jones, the annualized gain has been 4.6%. So think of the difference. I don't know. I would like to know how many periods there actually are. And there's quite a few. So we've got a lot of track history, but that's whether you're on what side or not. It, historically, if you got money in the market and, you have all three phases of the government or pieces of the government, it's generally a pretty good sign.
Why do you think that is? Certainty?
I would say they get things pass through.
That's what I'm saying. You know where it's going.
The market hates unpredictability, right? And it's more predictable when there's it's unified. So that's really what you're seeing. And you've seen a little rally in the market since the election probably because of that. It's not so much because it's Republican or Democrat. It's because, hey, there's going to be some things that really do get done, whether it's for the good or bad. Time will tell, right? We'll know, 3, 4, 5 years from now of some of the decisions, because which seems so crazy. The market's a future predicting forecast, right? But it's all those decisions that get made. It takes sometimes a year, 2 years, 3 years to actually get funneled down into into regulations or into our businesses or our personal households.
Is it too late to buy Tesla?
It's never too late. You can buy it every day.
I know, man. He's everywhere with Trump right now.
Odd.
They are everywhere
odd.
together. Did you guys see the picture? RFK's, the health, the
McDonald's.
health. They're on the plane and they've got the McDonald's. I think it's so funny.
Dude, that was hysterical.
Everyone's grilling him on that, and he's like, "Chill out, guy." Okay, so that's funny.
Go back to that a little bit. There's less government shutdown. They're able to push bills through and they're not passed through the Senate and then declined by the House. There's just more that can get done. And if we need to move in one direction as a country, again, whether it's Republican
government
or Democrat,
shutdowns are a big one. That happens way more likely when there's gridlock.
Yeah,
it's very common.
If you don't have gridlock, you can just get things done a little bit easier. So that I think the market is going to be good for the foreseeable future, but definitely for the next 2 years at least, until the next midterm election, probably.
Yep.
It's always 2 years. It's always change every 2 years. So that's a great thing about living, whether you like it or don't like it in the U.S.
Checks and balances.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's get back into Clay, because you know what, the political commercials are over.
Yeah.
So that's great.
Thank God.
And all the money being funneled in there. So, so what would you say your guys' next steps? You guys are. What do you see for the future as Clay's growth? Now that you guys know the process, you know how to take over the business, you know how to implement the right people, you know how to set the expectations for your employees. Do you continue to get new locations or focus on the ones you have, or what do you guys think you guys are growing after this?
The whole purpose of this is growth. So we are 100% growth focused. There's lots of dental practices for sale. So Sean sifts through them and looks for the ones that kind of meet our standards. But yeah, for the projected future, we are always looking for growth. We have 2 more practices that we're looking at possibly getting this year yet by year end. Might not happen, but for sure it'll happen by spring of 2025. We just kind of keep on going. And
what's the competition like?
Yeah, I was just
and in our industry, they say there's 10 buyers for every one seller. Yeah. It is super competitive for a financial.
Why do they
business.
Pick you guys?
Yeah, is it more of a bidding process, or
it's not really a bidding process. There is competition, but maybe not as much as you think. There's not a lot of DSOs like our size in Iowa. We're probably the second biggest.
Iowa's a good market for you guys to be doing.
And I'm not talking about the Aspens, the Heartlands. They have hundreds and hundreds of locations nationwide. We don't. So they're not necessarily looking for, some of the practices that we are. Honestly, I don't even look at them as competitors, really.
And I would guess a lot of people have their your personal clientele. You don't want to just sell to an Aspen Dental, I think that's from my view of that.
Like the corporate here. Yeah,
it's just funnel them into the corporate system,
right? Because we're dentists,
and you care about your patients, right?
You get buying dentists. So I think that that's a good point. I should have brought that up, but that is probably one of our biggest selling, I guess, stars. Why people come to you? Why people come to us, because we are like them.
Yep.
And we don't want to come in and just change them from day one and all this stuff. We try to make it a smooth transition. And quite honestly, the the systems that we come in with are not entirely unlike what they're already using. So it usually leads to a smoother transition.
What do you think the biggest challenge is when you do take over a location, like in changing the practice or evolving the practice, I should say?
Definitely employees. Employees have a tough time swallowing it.
New systems.
I was going to say, is it the systems or
because,
like?
I mean, as you can imagine, like just think if you guys were to switch software systems tomorrow, everybody in your office would hate it.
We technically did do that.
Yeah, we did. We went through that phase. We do not want to do it again.
One year ago.
Yeah. See, that brings up bad memories.
Yeah, I know. It's like, I do not want to do that again.
Yeah. So that's the toughest part is just, dealing with the employees and trying to talk them off the ledge from that this is going to be the most awful thing ever. And it always happens once 6 months has passed and then things settle in and then everybody's happy. It's just getting through that period that can be tough.
Do you always see the dental industry as a whole having the large corporates like Aspen, and then also having not that you're a small practice, but compared to them, the local DSOs
yeah.
having, do you see that continuing throughout, in the country for the foreseeable future?
Yeah. Cause I think I did mention this before. When I first came in, it was probably 30% corporate, 70% private. Now it's probably 70% corporate, 30% private.
And you consider yours as a corporate, correct?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Because you have more than one location.
Right.
So you consider the private as just me opening my own private dental.
Yep.
Okay.
It makes sense because you were saying how recruiting new associates, they're less likely to be a business owner right away versus when you were going, you were like, hey, I'm going to try to be a business owner right away. That makes complete sense of like why that's probably going that direction.
Yeah, and it definitely is. And like I said, dentists coming out, they just want a paycheck. They want to show up, do their work, get a paycheck, go to Starbucks. That's what they want to do.
They don't want the hassle of owning it.
They don't want the hassle of owning it.
They need to get to Stella's. They need more Stella's.
Talk a little. We didn't talk much, but I know you have. You guys have brought some associates on board or some other partners, and that's maybe part of the future growth too. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So what we've done is how we've structured it is we offer our associates can buy in basically to and become part of it, and we like that because then they have skin in the game.
Yep,
they're less likely to
they're an owner, right? They start thinking like an owner,
right? They're an owner. So that that in my opinion has really kind of helped cement our structure and our.
The culture's got to be better too. If you have other owners in other locations, it's not all just like, hey, Sean's in Spirit Lake, you're in Fort Dodge.
That's exactly right. Because we just recently let the two dentists from Spirit Lake bought in. Well, now all of a sudden they are starting to become mentors. They have they feel like part of it now.
Yep.
So and you can just kind of see the transformation, and it's really cool to see because you can see that they always cared, but now. They
really care.
Now they care a little more.
Everyone loves a little financial. Everyone loves a little financial incentive, right?
Gotta have a little skin in the game, right?
That's right.
It's like a baby. You take care of it a little better when it's your own. First base.
That's true.
It's just fact. How many partners are there now?
There would be 4 partners.
So do you guys
No, I'm sorry, 5. 5. Sorry.
Do you vet who you allow to buy in, or is anyone welcome to buy in, or what's that?
We allowed all of the associates a chance to buy in. Some of them obviously didn't. Some of them just didn't want to take that financial risk. So not all of them did, but yeah, we did offer it to all of them.
And do you plan on obviously it depends on locations and things like you think that's part of the process.
Yeah. And it won't be an immediate buy-in. They'll have to be there for a while, and we want to make sure they're
the right person.
Yeah, they're the right person. Yeah, exactly.
What would you tell someone who is coming out of school, either looking to be a dentist or possibly someone who is like, I do want to own my own practice? What would be your best advice for someone wanting to own their own practice?
Well, obviously they wouldn't. If you want to own your own practice, you need to find a little single practice and buy it and run it. If I guess with our model, you can still own it, or at least own a piece of it. I guess it depends on how much of an owner you want to be. Like if you want to own the whole thing and call the shots, then of course you're gonna have to buy your own practice. If you don't care, you just want to be part of a little part of a bigger thing, which sometimes is a lot more profitable sometimes, then something like us would make a lot of sense.
Just curious for someone coming out.
Yeah, and I don't know, but I don't think some of these bigger ones like Aspen's, Heartland's, I don't think they offer that. I don't think they offer ownership.
So someone coming out of Iowa Dental School, if they join Aspen, they're really just showing up and being a dentist and
an employee,
and doing their work and probably contributing to the corporate 401k, and they're not doing all that.
Their patients.
Don't own their
exactly
patients.
Right.
So if they do leave, they don't take their patients with them either. Typically,
that's exactly right, Cole. And one thing about Aspen, as you know, people that go to Aspen here in Fort Dodge, as they probably know, it's like a revolving door of dentists. You know, they get dentists that might stay a year or two and then they're gone.
It's very corporate structure, right?
Or then they bring another one in. And as a patient, I mean, if I'm going to a dentist, I'm not liking that. Like I want to build that rapport and have that relationship with the person that's working on me.
It's just like any other health professional you're working with. You want to see that same person that kind of knows your body or knows your teeth.
Exactly.
You know, we love the entrepreneur stories, but, you know, we do like to give some, you know, try to relate it back to, you know, our clientele or some of our listeners, you know, as a personal finance podcast that we say we are, but we're in the open enrollment period. So what are some considerations, you know, obviously healthcare costs just across the board. People spend a lot of money on whether it's, you know, dentistry or going to the hospital, medicines. What are some considerations or things people should be thinking about in regards to, you know, what they're getting for dental, you know, dental work done, and then also maybe on the insurance end?
Yeah. So on the insurance end, dental plans haven't changed much in the last 50 years. It's very sad, but their maximum that the insurance is going to pay is going to be the same as it was in the late 70s.
That stinks.
I was like, oh, bad answer.
No inflation there, right?
It's either $1,000, $1,500, or $2,000. So that open enrollment, though, I mean, if you know you need dental work, that makes a lot of sense. Most employers provide dental insurance, and that what a lot of people don't realize is that if you get 2 cleanings a year and 1 set of x-rays in a year, which was those things are no charge to the patient. The insurance company will pick those up at 100%.
Preventative.
So there's no reason you shouldn't be doing that.
There's no reason you shouldn't go. People just don't go either because they don't know about that or because they're just very terrified.
I love getting my teeth cleaned. I wish I could do it more than 2 times a year.
Here's my card.
Yeah, okay.
But it is one of those things.
Insurance just doesn't cover
That's what I'm saying. I'm not paying for the teeth.
John would be happy to clean your teeth once a week.
We'll set you up monthly if you want.
See you every Monday, 8:00. You knew what I meant.
Yes, we did.
Yes.
I think it is just being, you know, educated on it. And then also probably the more you're at least seeing, doing those checkups, cleanings, the less the major problems.
The more you're going to catch
You know, you can get a
time.
smaller problem before it turns into a really big problem and more expensive, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I've got firsthand knowledge of that.
Didn't you just like chip a tooth or something?
Yeah, I did. It's fixed though. It's good.
It's tough.
We're good
I'm
to
sure
go
that
now.
was
Yeah.
nice.
How's that dude doing?
Did you go to Aspen or did you go to Clay and Associates?
We went there. I'm a customer. I'm a client. I'm a client.
Yeah, you're not a customer.
As is my whole family. Yeah. No, I go back to what you know. Even having my kids go to your place.
Yeah.
They know Tyler. They know you. Like I'll always ask them, like,
Same
who'd
with
you
my
see
boys.
today? Like they're either gonna see a couple of different people, and I'll when I come into the office, I'm always like, who do I got today, John or Tyler? So knowing that person and knowing that they know they've seen my teeth, you know, multiple times. So if I do have a change, they know what's going on. I think that's hugely important.
Yeah, I mean, looking at someone's mouth is kind of an intimate thing. I mean, like I said earlier, personally, I would want the same person or the same group of people looking every time because they know I mean, I have patients, and as many dentists do, that live in Ankeny. I mean, for 10 years, I had people that lived in Las Vegas that came back every year.
That's wild.
For me to work on them and see them.
Oh, really?
Yes. And now they're both gone. But I mean, that just is one example of people want that. They want
trust you.
Yeah, they want that trust. They want that comfort in their dentist. Yeah.
I would say it's similar to most businesses, especially ours. Like it's the rapport of knowing your scenario, knowing what's happened, knowing you had a cavity, maybe, and you know that comfortability level, which is a lot of trust that I feel like people. That's how you grow, is getting people.
I'm gonna give them a personal shout out here, and I've told John this multiple times. But my great grandma, she's passed away now, but she basically raised my older brother and I, and it was my brother was getting married. And she chipped a tooth the day before my brother's getting married. And she was, you know, your old fashioned lady, had her hair permed, like dressed to the, you know, 70s, 9s, I loved her to death. And they, we called called the office, and they took care of her Saturday morning, got her a temporary, so like for pictures and stuff, and got her fixed the day of the wedding.
Wow.
So yeah, so that's always something. John's got some loyalty. John's got, the office has got some loyalty to me for that. My grandma meant a lot to me. So
she probably appreciated that.
Yeah, she did. Trust me, she was freaking out.
Oh my gosh, that's like the worst case
I remember that.
She was like, oh my God, like I'm gonna take pictures, and like she was so like blood pressure through the roof over that. And so
and Cole's like, Grandma, I know a guy.
Yep, that's how it went.
That's great. So you did touch on this earlier about community involvement, pouring back into your team, doing team bonding, and we talked a little bit off mic. Talk about some community involvement you do or something you do yearly for people.
So the last several years, what we've done is one Saturday a year, we'll open up our office to veterans, and we'll just have veterans come in, and we basically do free dental work on veterans. Now, what we've done though is we have partnered with I can't remember what her name is, but she goes through and actually screens them for us.
Oh wow!
And then sets up the appointments, and she has worked closely with us on.
Is that like with the community health or something?
Yeah. With
so you kind of know ahead of time if there's some work.
So you can get through and like kind of actually serve.
Be efficient and make sure you're really having an impact.
Yep, exactly. So any given those Saturdays, in the past few years that we've done usually between $20,000 and $30,000 worth of free work on those veterans. And then the ones that need more work, they'll come back, and they do get, and this is kind of interesting, veterans get X amount of dollars by the government to get their teeth fixed. So then those veterans will then come back. We'll schedule them, and we'll finish their work.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Good for you guys.
Yeah.
That's a really cool scenario. Yeah. We're always thinking of stuff, but okay. Here, my last question for you. Go ahead.
Don't copy me.
I won't. Well, I can't. Listen,
we can't offer any free dental. No free dental work.
My last question to you, and I always like to ask this: what would you say is the number one contribute to your success so far? Like, if you had to give any entrepreneur, any business owner, anyone that's really just trying to be successful, what advice would you give them?
I would say, don't ever let the risk outweigh the reward, because you can't. Everything you do is going to be a risk, and if you kind of sit in the weeds and you're too scared to take that first step, then you're never going to go anywhere.
You're going to be sitting in the weeds a long time.
Yeah, you'll be in the weeds.
Great answer.
Time.
Someone probably told you that after 4 years of having that land out in North Carolina.
That's right. All right, it's time to build.
Finally, I took that step out of the weeds.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Just teasing you.
That's great.
Thanks for being on, John. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Love your story.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
We'll link all your guys' stuff. You got Facebook, TikTok, right? All of that. We'll get it linked. I know that. Also, to our listeners, we always forget this because we're terrible at it, but please, if you would, subscribe to the podcast. We love that. It pushes it up. It shares it with other people. Like, comment. Don't comment about how John's teeth are whiter than mine. I don't need to hear it. But we appreciate your time. Everyone has a plan till they get punched in the mouth. Mike Tyson.
Love it.
Go Cubs.
You've been listening to How to Money with Cole & Cole, the podcast of Full Swing Financial Planning. To learn more, visit their website at www.fullswingfinancial.com and follow them on Facebook and LinkedIn.
For now, I'm Cole.
I'm Bailey.
And I'm Cole.
And we'll see you on the greens.
Security and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC.